Hello everyone, it's great to see you. I'm super psyched to be with you here today. I am here to help you with all of the things you heard about earlier on today, one of which was of course stress management. So I am a physiologist. I study human performance. I'm a researcher at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. I use magnetic resonance imaging to look inside the body to figure out what's working, what's not working, such that we can then design exercise, nutrition, and mindset and sleep programs for kids with cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and a host of other conditions. That's my research practice. I will take a lot of information from that medical side of things about your health, share that with you today. I also spend a lot of time with the Olympic team, so helping people win medals. So I'm either with people that are in the cancer ward trying to survive or winning medals at the Olympics, so totally out there at the extremes, which is really interesting because it gives you a perspective on the entire range of what humans are capable of. Therefore, we can then learn for all of us mere mortals who are trying to perform well at whatever it is that we care about the most ourselves. And that's ultimately what I want to do today, is take information from medicine, from high performance sport to help all of you perform at the highest possible level. A great example of that, just to get us going today in terms of the mindset of what I'm trying to accomplish, is this. I had the great opportunity to go to Florida before the last Olympics and work with a group of kayakers, and they were getting ready for their final really hard training session. So I'm not sure if you noticed this or not, but the closer that you get to an Olympic Games, the less hard work you do. You want no injuries, no aches and pains, no stress, no fatigue. And as a result, about 6 weeks out, I had the last opportunity to really train these athletes hard. So I gave them a set of 16 times 4 minutes, all out on 2 minutes rest. So imagine sprinting for 4 minutes and then chilling out for 2 minutes and doing that over and over and over again for almost 2 hours. And I'm doing my blood work, my heart rate, and all that sort of stuff. It was absolutely amazing. I loved every single second of it. It was totally fantastic from my perspective, not so much from their perspective because they were suffering. And I was taking their blood and sticking needles into them and stuff like that. I also managed to grab a few photos. And when I got back to my room at night, I was flipping through my photos, and as soon as I saw one specific photo, I was like, you know what, I think Adam's gonna win the Olympics. That was my athlete. And the difference between him and the athlete who was next to him, they were number one and number two in the world at the time, was so pronounced, it was incredible. So check out Adam in yellow. And I want you to draw your attention to two things. Look at his face compared to Anders in black. Adam's face is completely relaxed. It's so relaxed his tongue is actually hanging out the side of his mouth. Keep in mind, he's hypothetically going as hard as he can. And then draw your attention to their hands. Do you see the difference? Adam's barely gripping versus Anders, who's gripping with the paddle for dear life. So Adam in yellow is going fast. He's relaxed, he's determined, he's energized. Anders in black is going hard. He's tense, he's nervous, he's stressed. This state that they are in is absolutely critical for us to understand because this state predicts performance. Adam, just a few weeks later at the Olympics, won a silver medal on the podium. Awesome. Got beat by some hotshot little German kid that never won anything ever again. But anyway, I'm gonna let that go for the sake of the story today. And Anders was off the podium in 7th. Both had broken the world record previously. Now, the really interesting about this is that they're going the same speed, same time of day, same point of the training cycle. Everything's exactly the same. They're doing the performance two completely different ways. Fast, relaxed, energized, stressed, anxious, nervous. That predicts performance, but it also predicts health outcomes because 70% of the deaths in the Western world are caused by stress-related illnesses because we're going through life like Anders. I want us to do things differently. I want you to do things differently. I want you to make this fundamental pivot from stressed, nervous, tense, anxious to high performance and healthy high performance, which is where Adam is lying right here in this image. So we're gonna make that shift today. The way in which we make that shift is based on science. I will show you as much as I possibly can about that, which is really exciting because I spend a lot of my time at the hospital for sick children doing research, which I will share with you today. And the very first thing I have for you on this is that we really need to think about sleep. Because when you're sleeping well, everything is possible. We heard earlier today about the importance of change. You can only change when you are well-resourced. The way for all of us to get well-resourced and be able to function at the highest possible level every single day is by sleeping soundly, which is really exciting because it also just feels good. But it also changes the way that your body works inside. So this is a depiction of what's called your lymphatic system. You all have this system, it's inside your body. It's a circulatory system that runs right next to your arteries and veins. Your arteries and veins are full of blood. The lymphatic system is full of lymph. You've all seen lymph before. If you've ever broken a blister, and the fluid, the white little clear fluid that comes out of it, that's lymph. You shouldn't have broken your blister. But if you broke the blister and that clear fluid came out of it, that's lymph. That flows through your body all the time. It picks up viruses, bacteria, broken down cells, waste products, and pulls that into your lymphatic system, where white blood cells from your immune system fight off all those invaders. This is the system that keeps your body healthy. This is the system that keeps your body clean. It fights off colds and flus. That's why your doctor feels the lymph glands in your neck to see if they're activated. It's also responsible for fighting off cancer. That's why we're really concerned about breast cancer spreading to the lymph nodes in the underarm, for example. This is really critical for keeping you healthy and keeping you well. But if you draw your attention to the slides, you'll notice that it's present in the stomach, the chest, the arms, the neck, and it gets up to about the cheeks, and then it stops. It's not in the head. And up until very recently, we didn't know how the brain accomplishes what the body accomplishes in terms of keeping itself healthy and clean. And some research has been done that sheds some light on this topic. So this is an MRI scan of the brain. It's diffusion tensor imaging if you're interested, but I just love the beautiful complexity of the brain and what we can now see. So what we have discovered is at night when you sleep, the brain neurons, the neurons inside your brain that create thinking, problem solving, concentration, focus, alertness, spreadsheets, sales processes, all of those neurons shrink by about 60%. And all this space opens up inside your brain. And a clear fluid called cerebral spinal fluid washes through your brain every single night while you sleep and picks up viruses, bacteria, broken down cells, waste products, and pulls that into what is called the lymphatic system, where all of those waste products are washed out every single night while you sleep. It's exactly like a dishwasher. Actually, it's also kind of like taking a dirty sponge, sticking it under running water, and squeezing it over and over and over again until it's clean. That process happens every single night while you sleep. It happens slightly better if you sleep on your side also, and then you snore less and your partner loves you more. So we'll do relationship counseling while I'm hanging out here with you today also. But this all happens at night when you sleep. So we have discovered that then what happens to all of those waste products is they get pulled up to the inside of your skull and a network of vessels that connect to the lymphatic system in your body, which then drains all of that out to be dealt with and removed throughout the course of the day. So we know why you need to sleep. This is how your brain heals, repairs, recovers, and regenerates. We also have learned how much sleep you actually need. So if we consider on the y-axis here, you have REM in stage 1, 2, and 3. REM being when you dream. Stage 1 and stage 2 are light sleep. If anyone's using a wearable to track your sleep, that's like light or core. And then stage 3 is deep sleep. And we cycle through these stages of sleep throughout the course of the night in roughly 90-minute increments. And you need 5 complete sleep cycles to have the lowest risk for all-cause mortality. That's living as long as you possibly can in a healthy way. 5 complete sleep cycles, 90 minutes each, ballpark 7 to 8 hours is what we're looking for. I saw a couple people nod and a couple people just turned white. So a little bit pale. We'll get through this together. It's gonna be okay, you can get there. Also, just for the record, if you have teenagers, if you're a parent and with younger kids, the amount of sleep that you need increases the younger that you are. I'll send you these slides so you can check it out, but just in case like, well, it's 78 hours, what about my teenager? They sleep a lot, they do need to sleep more, hence these recommendations. But for all of you here today who have cognitively demanding jobs, the reason why I want you to consider sleep as primary for everything that you do is because you actually learn at night when you sleep. You do not learn during the course of the day. I said that at a school once when I was speaking. I was like, you guys don't learn during the day. And they were like, yes, I know. We learn nothing when we're here. And I was like, no, that's not what I meant. I mean that at night when you are actually sleeping, neurons grow and make new connections between each other, and you take the information from the day and you encode it into long-term memory at night when you sleep. So you actually learn at night. Now just think about how much we have had to learn over the last couple of years. AI agents, socio-cultural changes, geopolitical challenges. Like there's so much that we have to take in order to be able to navigate this world. Your ability to learn is an uncommon advantage right now. And the way that we learn is by sleeping. That's when we get all of that information into the brain, organized, stored, and that way you can access it in the future. The other uncommon advantage right now in this world is creativity, innovation, and problem solving. The theme of this conference is reimagine. Your ability to reimagine how things are done, how you are working, what is going on in your life, depends upon your sleep, because the stage for that is set in the first half of sleep when different regions of the brain become activated and make connections between each other, and that's what leads to new insights, us quote unquote putting two and two together. It's so interesting how our language reflects what actually happens inside the brain. It's absolutely fascinating. So when you merge these two concepts together, getting enough sleep, those 5 complete sleep cycles, 7 to 8 hours, you live the longest possible lifespan, you have the lowest risk for all-cause mortality, that's getting sick from a host of different conditions, you learn effectively, and you are more creative. I need you to prioritize this for your health, your well-being, and your ability to do what you do at the highest possible level. But we are sabotaging ourselves to some extent. I think many of us are probably doing this by doing the following. No judgment, it's okay. The grumble through the crowd there was really interesting. Here's why I would encourage you to give yourself permission not to look at your devices for 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be falling asleep. So this is an MRI scan of the brain, sliced it ahead at the level of the eyes. You're looking at it from above. If we zoom in, you can actually see the eyeballs there. When you have these devices and you shine them into your eyes late at night, that light passes through the eyeball, hits the back of the eyeball right there, and structures that look like this that convert light into electricity. That electricity shoots back through the optic nerve into a structure called the pineal gland that releases a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin controls your sleep-wake cycles. And when you shine these devices into your eyes late at night, you are signaling electrically to the pineal gland. It's morning, it's noon, the sun just came up, it's bright out, and as a result, melatonin doesn't get released, and it makes it very difficult for you to fall asleep, and most importantly, for you to stay asleep. So please give yourself permission to defend your last hour. Give your brain a chance to settle, to calm down, to relax, to decompress from your busy days. And with love and respect for how amazing you are at your jobs, I'm going to challenge you that you're probably not writing world-class emails at 11 o'clock at night. Maybe there's a different way. So this is some data from an Oura Ring, a wearable that I gathered on myself on one night when I was working right up into the last possible second. And as you can see, I'm lying there in bed staring at the ceiling. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. The next night, I ran a process, sorry about my Canadian accent there, that enabled me to do things completely different. This is what it looked like the next night. Straight into deep sleep. And the protocol that I ran is the 20-20-20 protocol. 20 minutes in a row, 3 different things that help you to decompress. This is my first recommendation for you. It really can look like this. It can actually look like anything, whatever works for you. Hot bath, journaling, reading fiction, could be talking to your partner or spouse, or not, depending on how things are going at home. Like whatever other, like meditation works really, really well here. Prayer works if that's in your belief system. There's many different things that you can embed into this process for yourself, but I encourage you to think about the 20-20-20 protocol to help you to fall asleep and to stay asleep, and most importantly, to make it easy for you to defend your last hour. Because when we defend our last hour, when we take care of ourselves, when it comes to our sleep, your health, well-being, and performance abilities completely change. So here is a quote that I just love. Increasing your sleep from 5 to 7 hours a night, which is basically like 1 extra sleep cycle, can decrease your risk of heart attack or stroke by 45%. So 1 sleep cycle, you basically cut your risk of cardiovascular disease in half. Research, ironically, by Professor Cappuccino, but still entirely valid, I think, when it comes to this. I'll pause there. I have some time for like 2 questions or maybe 3 on sleep. Who's got a question or thought for me? And the question, just to repeat it back for everyone so you can hear, Greg, great, 7 to 8 hours, but you're crazy. So what do I do in my life? So 7 to 8 hours per night on average over an extended period of time is awesome. If you're only getting 6 during the week, don't be afraid to give yourself a chance to sleep in on the weekends to get an extra little bit of sleep to catch up. So on average, you're at that level. I also recognize that many people have spouses, partners who are doing shift work, for example, in which case you do want to get 7 to 8 hours per 24-hour cycle. So taking a nap is also awesome, especially on the weekends to catch up from a busy week. This week I'm on 4 planes, I think. So on Saturday, for sure, I'm taking a massive nap in the afternoon when I get home. So we're looking for, on average, over an extended period of time, this is what we're looking for. Same thing when it comes to food, too. I don't really worry about any one meal. I worry on average over an extended period of time, where are we at? So everything is about consistency. There's no magic fixes. There's no rapid changes. Just be consistent over time. You'll end up in a really great place. I love that. Thank you for that that question. Maybe one more from this side. Right, so melatonin and sleep medications. So melatonin, taking the melatonin, the hormone exogenously, has been shown to help you to reset sleep cycles after periods of disrupted sleep. So like jet lag, or maybe there's something going on at home, super stressed, you're not sleeping. Melatonin can help you to reset that. However, the benefits wear off after about 3 weeks. You lose the ability to produce it yourself. So use it as a short-term bridge as you get through something so that you can then get back to the way that you would like to be sleeping well without the melatonin, which is things like blackout blinds, going to bed at the same time every night, getting a little bit of exercise during the course of the day. All of those, the Defend Your Last Hour protocol, all of those things will help you. Sleep medications have been shown to work. However, they do not help you get into stage 3 deep sleep. So you are asleep, but you're not getting that brainwashing effect. And people who take sleep medications for extended periods of time have an increased risk of all-cause mortality and a shortened lifespan. So it is definitely a short-term fix, a bridge to use during a period when you're not sleeping as you rebuild your lifestyle habits to be able to fall asleep and to stay asleep using all of the tactics that I've been talking about today. So short-term fixes, bridges, absolutely. Going through the divorce, use the sleep meds to get through that periods of time, for example, and then rebuild your life such that you don't need it as soon as possible. So with regards to women going through perimenopause, menopause, which ironically enough was like my first job out of college, which is really crazy. I was working for Ciba Geigy Pharmaceuticals to develop lifestyle practices for women going through menopause in parallel to the HRT. So I've been thinking about this for like 30 years, which is crazy to me now, as I'm in that sort of time of life, and Judith is as well, my wife. So 2 tactics specifically. For hot flashes, the number one thing that can help you is increasing your hydration all day long. So overhydrate. So often women will wake up around 4 o'clock in the morning, hot flash. I would love you to have 8 to 10 ounces of water next to your bed at that moment to get hydrated, because that's starting your day and just beginning things the best that you possibly can. Second thing that has been specifically shown to help women sleep better is strength and resistance training. So strength and resistance training improves slow wave deep sleep, specifically in women 40 to 60 years old. So that is a big piece of the puzzle. And if there was one thing I could do when I walk into a gym, is I'd love to get all of the guys away from the weights, put them on the cardio machines, and all the women off the cardio machines and get them lifting weights. Like that's a flip that I'd love to see like that. So okay, glad you agree, perfect. So by the way, today I have 2 things for your body, 2 things for your brain, and 1 thing for your life. So this is the second tactic that I have for you for your physiology. But again, we're going to focus in on the brain. But I'll start with a little story. So I travel a lot. I take people on expeditions around the planet. In this case, I took a group of youth ambassadors to India, the northwest corner of India near the Pakistan border in the Thar Desert. Spectacular location. They ran 5 marathons on 5 consecutive days. We broadcast the expedition to 10,000 kids around the world in partnership with the World Health Organization. Stunningly beautiful location, amazing kids. We had an awesome time. And one of the days I went into one of the villages to find out what the locals were eating, because I love Indian food, and I found this gentleman selling all of the traditional Indian foods. And you'll notice that all the colors of the rainbow are there: white, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Amazing. Anti-cancer, anti-heart disease, anti-type 2 diabetes, anti-metabolic syndrome, anti-depression, all there. Fantastic. I took that photo, and then I turned my body 90 degrees, and I took this photo. And as those foods are getting into India, China, Brazil, Malaysia, Kenya, our schools, our businesses, our homes, the diseases of the West are following: cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, depression. So I encourage you to think about the fact that nutrition is a superpower for you, and it not only just fuels you to be able to do the things that you do during the course of the day, which is how we've traditionally thought of food, but it can also be used to heal your body, specifically from stress. If we are going to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish this year and moving forwards, it's demanding on your brain. So I'm really interested in the effect of food as fuel and as healing for your brain as you do your cognitively demanding work. Imagine taking a camera and zooming into the tissues up top, 100 billion neurons, each with thousands of connections. And it's at those connections where thinking takes place. Little chemicals called neurotransmitters move back and forth between those neurons, and that's what creates thinking, problem solving, concentration, focus, mathematics. Everything happens at those neural junctions. And what we have discovered is that the foods that you eat change the neurotransmitters in your brain. And when you have foods that are higher in protein, they give you the neurotransmitters that help you to focus and concentrate. It's one of the topics in the opening session earlier today was focus. If you want to focus more easily at work, breakfast and lunch, I'd love you to have 20 to 30 grams of protein, which is basically like the palm of your hand. That gives you the neurotransmitters to help you to concentrate and focus more easily. I'm not anti-carb by any stretch of the imagination. There's loads of carbohydrates that are absolutely fantastic for you. I just want high fiber so that it's slow digesting and does not spike your insulin. So we're just looking to get away from like the white sugars, the white flours, those sorts of things, and have those foods that are high in fiber, that are slow digesting. Because when we keep sugar low, the brain works better. There's loads of research that shows that high sugar, high processed food diets damage the hippocampus, which is the region that I've circled there in red, which is responsible for learning and the creation of memory. So if you want your brain to work better in these times when we have to be learning so fast, I want you to keep your sugar levels a little bit low. And by the way, I go for ice cream every once in a while. I'm not saying eliminate it. I'm just saying keep it lower, especially during the course of the workday, and increase the amount of healthy fats that you have. Because healthy fats are crucial for your brain. If you look at the surface of the brain, it's white. The reason why your brain is white is because it's actually made up of omega-3 fatty acids, which are then used to create something called myelin, which wraps around the branches of the neurons inside your brain, the cells inside your brain, just like bark on the branch of a tree, and protects them from damage. So if you want your brain to be healthier, healthy proteins for the neurotransmitters to focus, healthy carbohydrates for slow digesting fuel, healthy fats for the structural integrity of your brain. Super simple, super straightforward. There's nothing extreme here. Your grandmother could teach this part of the talk. This is very, very, very basic. The one thing I would like you to just extend is being aware that stress damages your brain and your body. Specifically, it damages your cells through a process called oxidation and inflammation, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. Inflammation is associated with cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, depression, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, all those sorts of things. So when we keep inflammation and oxidation low, that sets the stage for long-term health and actually healing your body faster on a daily basis to enable you to work better, faster, but then also to heal, repair, recover, and regenerate as well. The simplest way that I have for you to action this is simply to eat the rainbow. Because every single color of fruit and vegetable has a different polyphenol and flavonoid that heal, repair, recover, and regenerate different parts of your body and your brain. If I was to say there's one takeaway when it comes to just simply eating healthier, just add a bit more color to your diet over the course of a week. That's really all we need to be doing here, because that's what sets the stage for you healing, repairing, recovering, and regenerating. That's the healing part. But you can also use nutrition as fuel and as a spark. Just to remind you about that, things like caffeine are super powerful. You can use coffee as a performance-enhancing substance. The peak benefits are 30 to 60 minutes after you take it. There's a withdrawal effect 3 hours later, so be careful. Use caffeine as a tool, not as a crutch. 30 minutes before the most important thing you need to do during the day, the best sales call, the critical meeting, the block of work, the new stack of a product series that you need to put together for a client, whatever it is that's most important for you during the course of the day, use your caffeine to get that done so that you can then do world-class work, but not get overwhelmed by caffeine over the course of the entire day. And by the way, 2 p.m. is kind of the stop point where it no longer has an effect upon your sleep. So I recommend everyone stop at around 2 p.m. And more coffee all day long isn't what I'm talking about here. I'm just be hyper strategic with it. If you do need to drink caffeine all day long on a day when you've got a lot of stuff to do, we recommend green tea because there's 15 milligrams plus powerful antioxidants. So if you have a day where it's just going to be 12 hours of getting a lot of things done, that's your go-to. But over the course of the day, we want you to shift. So if I was morning would be caffeine, afternoon would be green tea, and then evening would be herbal tea, to lower your caffeine load over the course of the day and shift from caffeination to hydration as you move through the course of the day. Hydration being fundamental to your ability to create energy, because water is used in a process called the Krebs cycle, which you probably remember from grade 10 bio. Sorry, it's not on the test. But you'll notice that there's 4 inputs there, which is water. And water is what is used inside the body to create energy. So if you need more energy, water is the way to go. So I'll pause there and just sort of see if we have any thoughts or questions about using nutrition to heal, and then I'll highlight this as I pause. The doctor of the future will not treat people with drugs, but will cure and prevent disease with nutrition. This is a super powerful tactic for all of us. So maybe we'll take 2 or 3 questions about food. Who's got a question for me about anything to do with nutrition? Yeah, so thoughts on protein and protein powders. Of course, eat real food that you recognize as food. Eat as organic as you can afford. Eat as grass-fed as you can afford. I realize that's not the easiest thing sometimes. If you're doing fish, make sure it's wild caught, not farmed if you can. So those are the principles. If that's not possible, then yeah, some protein powders can be useful. So I use them with my family for like mid-morning snacks or after practice at 9 o'clock at night on the way home. But I don't like whey protein because it spikes and crashes your insulin. So I prefer yellow pea and brown rice-based proteins, which you can get from a company called Vega. They've got Sport Protein, which is awesome. Another company is Living Fuel out of Florida. Living Fuel, Living Protein is the one that I recommend a lot. So I just look for those. And if you need specific product recommendations, email me and I'll flip you the ones that I have researched and recommend. So eat real food that you recognize as food, eat as organic as you can afford, but every once in a while, it's okay. Sure, so intermittent fasting, a little bit is fine, a lot is not. So some research was done on people fasting for Ramadan, which is 30 days where you only eat when the sun is down. So you have 12 hours of fasting, 12 hours of eating. What they found in that group was a 30 to 60% reduction in inflammatory markers that persisted for 6 weeks after Ramadan was over. So awesome, because inflammation low is good for all the reasons I've already highlighted. 12 and 12 is where we seem to get those benefits, which is more than what we normally do, which is to eat for 16 hours while you're awake and fast for 8 hours while you sleep. So getting to that 12 and 12 point appears to be helpful. Also, if you look back, all 5 major religions around the world have some fasting protocol embedded in them. So this is a universal human truth for thousands of years of trial and error that we can probably rely upon. Intermittent fasting, however, is commonly thought of as 16 and 8. So you fast for 16 hours and then eat in an 8-hour window, which only increases the benefits if you keep your caloric load the same. So if same number of calories, shortened period of time in which you eat those calories appears to increase BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and autophagy, which is the body's ability to heal and repair damaged cells. But what I recommend to most business people is you get 80 to 90% of the benefits at 12 and 12. And the easiest way to get to 12 and 12 is simply when you're done dinner, don't snack. That's all you need to do. If there are periods of time during the year when you want to do a bit more of a focused block of fasting, then you can certainly do that. And if you want to learn more about intermittent fasting, my friend Dr. John Berardi, who has a PhD in nutrition, wrote an incredible detailed write-up on his website. So just search Precision Nutrition Intermittent Fasting, and you will find that article. He also did one for women, so Precision Nutrition Intermittent Fasting for Women, and you find that. And if you need the link, just let me know and I'll send it to you. Okay, last 2 more, and then we'll move on. Yes?
Thoughts on waters that are used with alkaline electrolytes? You're seeing a lot more of that. Thoughts on that?
Complete. Yeah. I'm sorry if anyone's invested in hydrogen water. It's complete bullshit. Let me just say, there's nothing that makes me more upset than that, especially when you see people who got their nutrition degrees on TikTok promoting it. Just makes me want to lose my mind. Having spent 15 years in grad school, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have just gone to TikTok University and been fine. But anyway, so yeah, no, that's one it makes no sense on a million different levels. So just drink water. If you really need something that tastes better, have sparkling water, but plain water is awesome. It's what you need. Sorry for swearing on stage, and it was being filmed too, so now there's a record of that too. So anyway, yes. If I was to speak to anyone about the issues with soda, and diet soda especially is even worse than full sugar sodas, it is what it is. The way that we transition people from that is we move from sodas and diet sodas to sparkling water with citrus and lime and lemon. That's the step, and then we move over to plain water. The hook with anyone who we want, especially with teenagers, when we're trying to help them sleep better, eat better, use their phones a little bit less, play a little bit less video games, is you have to hook them with something that they care about. This is true for everybody. So if you have a teenager who's into sports, there's very few world-class athletes who are drinking Coke on the sidelines, right? We hook them with what they care about. Musicians, practicing meditation, chess players, physical training to lower their heart rate. There's always powerful health practices associated with whatever they care about. So when you link it to what they care about, they'll do everything. If it's just like, you should do this, they won't do a thing. So when you find what they care about, it's super easy. They do it like this. So it's just having that conversation to find what they care about and then supporting that with all of these practices that I'm sharing with you as well. I discovered this when I was doing a session just like this one, teaching the same stuff for a law firm. And I was teaching this, and they were completely ignoring me because it was PD hours. They had to be there. They had no choice. And everyone's on their phones doing their work, completely ignoring me. So I was teaching them about health strategies to lower cardiovascular disease. And believe me, looking at the room, they really needed to be listening to me, but they weren't. And so I was like, here's a protocol for unlimited concentration and focus for 3 hours. Everyone put down their phones, broke out the notepads, and started listening. It was the same stuff I just taught you. It's exactly the same. Focus, concentration, protein. So whenever we frame it in terms of what we care about the most, that's what makes it the easiest for us to be able to make those changes and move forward. So for you as well, when you're trying to make these changes, think about what you care about. For me, making nutrition changes about 10 years ago, it was all about the fact that my daughter was 2 and I needed to stay alive for my kids. That's what motivated me to make some massive changes to get me out of a situation that I was in with viral myocarditis, a heart infection 10 years ago. So I had to find that too. Someone put up their hand, yes.
What about a 72-hour fast?
Right. Thoughts on 72 hours, week-long, 40 days, all of that stuff in conjunction with your medical professional, and I can point you in the right direction, so message me, but I'll just leave that as a very individualized approach that we'll talk about offline, if that's okay. All right, I've got, I think, just a few minutes left, so about 15 minutes left. So I do want to talk about your brain, and this is really critical. So I know that this group is into sales. This is the most important thing in today's world, this next 2 ideas that will enable you to win in sales moving forwards. So I have one area which will help you with focus. The next one that I will help you with shifting people into a state where they can actually make decisions and think about the future differently. So 2 components coming up. I'll walk through them in about 3 or 4 minutes each. Here's the first one. This is my daughter, Ingrid. And ironically, there was some photos of Galapagos and Charles Darwin and all of that sort of stuff earlier today. This is us in the Galapagos Islands off of the coast of Ecuador, where Charles Darwin came up with a theory for evolution. Ingrid's a swimmer. I was a swimmer. We love getting into the ocean. And this was a great experience. It was super cool being with my daughter out in the open ocean and visited by baby sea lions. Like, they were diving around us. It was super cool and awesome and beautiful and fun. Until, as a responsible parent, you stop for a second and you ask yourself, sea lions. Wonder what eats the sea lions. And then this happens. So there's Ingrid, and that's our guide/lifeguard top right, who she is completely ignoring. And then she dives down here through that school of fish. Like, how cool is that as a dad to watch your daughter like swim through literally like an ocean aquarium by herself? Like, so awesome. Super fun. And then she dives down here. I want you to look over her left shoulder on the bottom of the ocean right there. And you will see a very large white tip reef shark swim out over the ground down there. You can see it. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Worst parent ever. Yes, I get that. But I put my daughter in harm's way for all of you here today so I could make a point about focus. So what I just did to you there was really interesting. I showed you a video of my daughter swimming with sharks. And I set it up in such a way that you probably knew what was coming. So 100% of your eyes were all directed up to the screen. All of you were in deep focus in that state. It literally takes me showing people videos of my daughter swimming with sharks to capture everyone's attention in this crazy era when we are all addicted to these. What I did by showing that video was I put you in what's known as a beta brainwave state. Beta brainwaves are created when you're focused, when you're in execution mode, when you're getting things done. This is focus, alert, concentration, blasting through your to-do list, firing off emails. I'm in beta mode right now, presenting to all of you. This is focused, execute, get stuff done. It's awesome, super stressful. It does cost a lot of energy. The main problem with this mode is that it works really, really well inside your brain when you are single tasking, when you are doing one thing. I put you into this state by getting you focused on Ingrid swimming with a shark. The second that you get distracted, the second that you start jumping back and forth between different things, you aren't in a state where you have one region of the brain which is activated, getting oxygen and glucose so that it can think. When you're multitasking, blood flow has to shift back and forth between different regions of the brain, and it's energetically exhausting. It's super inefficient. And we live in an era of constant, unrelenting distraction due to these devices. I would encourage you deeply, right now in this era, to consider your attention as the currency with which you perform. And I want you to defend your attention at all costs, so that you direct your attention where you want it to go, not where the algorithm wants it to go, because your attention can be monetized. World-class performers in every single discipline, sports, music, business, drama, science, protect their attention. I had the opportunity to go watch tennis recently. I got that photo of Coco Gauff. That ball does not have a good future. She is about to smash that thing, and she's pretty fit, as you can see from that photo. But look at her eyes. Look at where she's dialed in and focused. How focused she is. And what would happen if even for a tenth of a second she got distracted by someone in the crowd? What would happen? She'd miss. You know this. Yet we do our work with our audio notifications on. Or you have a meeting with a client, and this is out on the table, which really means you're important, but just in case. And even if it's turned over, it still captures, according to research, about 20% of your attention. If you are in a critical meeting with a teammate, with a colleague, with a client, if you're having dinner with your family, this must be out of sight, and the audio must be turned off, so that we can build relationships in this era of constant, unrelenting distraction, where these devices are forcing us to live a lot like this. That low moan going through the crowd there. I want you to live like this. And I'm not saying don't get back to people. I'm not saying don't answer your email or don't answer your text messages. All that I'm saying is that I want your attention to go where you want it to go, not where the algorithm wants it to go, so that you can direct your energy towards what matters to you in your life, the important things, not the urgent things. The important things that are actually going to move the needle personally and professionally to elevate your life and performance and your ability to make a difference in the world. And every single one of you solves problems for a living. So the more of that we do, the better the world gets, which is absolutely incredible. So here's my protocol for you that I want you to think about for the next little while. It's the 30-31 protocol. I would ask that you identify the number one priority in your life, personally or professionally. And for the next 30 days, I'd like you to spend 30 minutes in a completely undistracted, tight bubble of total focus, moving the needle forwards on that one thing. This could be personal, could be professional, could be a relationship, it could be a specific client, it could be anything that you want it to be. You can then repeat this every single month. So you just put a little reminder in your calendar, on your phone, ironically enough, that on the first of every single month, it's like, hey, what's the 30-31 for this month? You identify your number one priority, you block off time, tight bubbles of total focus. You tell everybody that you're not going to be getting back to them during that time, so that there's no expectations and everyone supports you, and you win. You are able to actually protect your attention in an era of constant, unrelenting distraction. That's the mechanisms of finding focus. But now we need to talk about a different brainwave state. So just like I showed you some videos of a shark, I'll show you a couple photos of something else. This is Shishui National Game Park in South Africa. When I finished my PhD, no one would hire me, so I was unemployed. 13 years of grad school, woohoo. And so I sold everything that I owned, which was like nothing, and took my bike and my tent to Cairo, Egypt, and cycled south 8,000 miles through Africa and 10 countries down to Cape Town, South Africa. It was absolutely incredible. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's the fastest human-powered crossing of Africa. The expedition is. I'm not, because I got hit by a cow in Malawi. But anyway, horns, they're very fast. Another story for another day. Anyway, so lots of blood. But at the end of that expedition, 2 people on that expedition ended up getting married, and we went to Shishui, and the wedding was there. And then afterwards, we went out on safari, which is incredible. And I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, in case you haven't noticed that. So when we got to the place where you can go out on safari, there was a few options. There was the morning game drive, cool. The nighttime game drive, better. And then in chalk on the bottom right-hand corner in small letters, someone had written walking safari. And I was like, oh, you can be part of the food chain. Sign me up. So I went and did that option, and I went for a walk with this gentleman who's carrying we are in Texas. For Canadians, that's a small gun. Here, that may be normal, I'm not sure. But anyways, we were navigating the environment, couldn't really find any of the big animals. So I was like, where can we go to find something? He's like, well, they're probably at the watering hole, because that's where they all converge to drink and eat each other. So I was like, great, let's go there. And so we went in and crawled around through it, couldn't find anything. But then we stood up on the mound of earth just over here. And I stood up on that mound of earth and looked to my left, and I saw that. And everyone froze. I froze. The rhino froze. My guide froze. The ears locked in on me because they hear better than they see. We hung out for a little while, and we just slowly moved ourselves back out and away from that situation. And fortunately, everything went well. We found some elephants and lions and some other stuff, but that really stuck with me. And I got back to my tent tonight, and I was flipping through my photos, and I saw that photo. I was like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. What an unbelievable experience. And I cannot believe that I missed the second rhino. Can you see in the bottom right? Right there. I also completely missed these beautiful green parrots. So here's what happens. I was fascinated by this. So I immediately, as the physiologist, started to deconstruct what happened. So when you are faced with a threat, with a challenge, with something that you perceive as being threatening to you, your eyeball changes shape to be able to see the threat better. Your vision actually looks like that. You cannot see the second rhino. You can't see it. You certainly can't see the parrots. And then what happens when your eyeball changes shape and you lose your peripheral vision is that you also lose your peripheral thinking. You can't even conceive that there's a second rhino. You certainly can't consider that there are parrots. So the analogy for all of us now in this world that is deeply unwell, every time that we look at the news or social media, there is something that is designed to capture and hold your attention so that you feel like this. For anyone right now in leadership or sales, it is incumbent upon you to help people to calm down so that you regain your peripheral thinking. Because when you're in threat mode, when you're in scarcity, when you're in fear, when you're anxious, physiologically, you cannot plan. You cannot strategize. You cannot imagine. What's the theme of this conference? Reimagine. What do you need to do in order to make that happen? Physiologically and psychologically, you have to slow down in order to be able to speed up. Your ability to do this for yourself is paramount so that you can then help your clients and colleagues to do it as well. If you're a leader, your team will match your stress. If you're meeting with a client and they come in and you notice that they're anxious, nervous, tense, they will not be able to see what you see in terms of their potential future. You must help them to settle so that you can then have the conversation so that they see the possibilities in the problems that you're solving for them. This is the number one move that we need to make in our world right now, is just helping people to settle. Now, when we do this, it activates the frontal lobe of the brain right behind the forehead, which is called metacognition. You've actually imagined someone who's considering something deeply. What are they doing? Usually rubbing their forehead. That's because that's where that occurs. You can actually feel this happen. It's called an alpha brainwave state. It's 50% less active than focused execution. So we're really chill here. The leaders that I'm working with tomorrow will also talk about theta state, which is creativity, innovation. We'll do that as well tomorrow, and I'll send anyone who's interested the video on that too. But remember that the world feels like this right now, and you need to help the world feel a little bit more like that. Okay? My son Adam struggles, so we do a lot of this stuff. Clearly, I was like, dude, I need a photo for a census. And he's being a jackass right now. He's just not doing what he's supposed to do. So, but anyway, that's Adam right now, and that's his entire personality. But what I want for all of you to learn how to make this shift is this. Be here now, 15 minutes a day, every day. This can be you with your partner, you reading, you journaling, you learning, you sitting on a park bench, looking at the trees. 15 minutes a day, something for you, prayer, whatever works for you, that helps you to settle, to practice this ability to slow down in order to be able to speed up. In sales, this is the number one thing that we need to do. I would also argue that in our unwell world at the moment, that this is absolutely crucial for anyone in a leadership position at any part of the organization, in any part of your family, with your friends, to help people move forwards. And the simple theme is that stillness right now is a superpower. Practice this for yourself such that you can then help other people to do this as well. All right, so I am out of time, so I will wrap up with this simple idea here. I'm very fortunate to have an incredible family. I've told you a couple stories. I'm here for the next 2 days, so I'll tell you some more if you hang out with me. But this is Ingrid and Adam. And these are magic moments, little moments of awe. And I just wanted to finish by reminding you that given the work that you do in finance, you basically set up families and people and businesses to be able to have these types of moments. Seeing your child walk across the stage to graduate, getting into a home, being safe in retirement. These magic moments that many years down the line result in little times like this. And so I know that it's a grind sometimes. I know that you're tired sometimes. I know that we get caught up in goal setting around the specifics. But as you craft your life, remember that at the end of the day, you solve problems and you help people such that you create moments like this for people, families, leaders, and businesses. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to help you. I'm here all day, so please stop me and ask me questions. I really appreciate this opportunity to support all of you in the work that you do. I hope that I've been helpful. Thanks for your attention, really appreciate it. And you'll get some follow-up information from me via email. Thanks everyone, hope that's helpful.